Please, Emily. You're all I have left. I need you. He said it standing on my doorstep in Portland, Oregon, in front of my neighbor Mrs. Chen, who was watering her roses at 7:30 on a Saturday morning. The October air smelled like rain and wet leaves. My father, Richard Marshall, 67 years old, with his silver hair unwashed and his Brooks Brothers shirt wrinkled, stood there with tears running down his face. My name is Emily Marshall. I'm 34 years old. This is the story of how my father gave my brother over $1 million across 12 years while I got nothing, and how he showed up begging when that brother disappeared with everything. The brother he'd called his legacy was gone. The money was gone. And now, standing at my door, the father who'd told me I didn't need help because I was capable wanted me to save him. But we need to start at the beginning, because what happened on my doorstep that morning was just the final scene of a much longer play. The Marshall family home sat on 3 acres in Wilsonville, Oregon, 20 minutes south of Portland. A 4-bedroom craftsman built in 1994, the year my father sold his software company for enough money to retire at 45. The house smelled like cedar and my mother's vanilla candles, and the particular silence that comes from a marriage held together by routine rather than affection. My father, Richard Marshall, had made his fortune in enterprise software in the early 90s. He was methodical, precise, and convinced that business acumen was genetic. Every morning at 6, he drank black coffee in the kitchen while reading the Wall Street Journal. Every evening, he worked in his study, a room with leather furniture and walls lined with books about investment strategy, business leadership, entrepreneurship. My mother, Susan Marshall, 64, had been a stay-at-home parent since my brother was born. She managed the house, the garden, the social calendar. Susan wore cardigans from Nordstrom and pearl earrings to the grocery store. Her role was to support Richard's decisions, host his business dinners, and maintain the image of a successful family. My brother, Michael, was 3 years older than me, 37 when this story reaches its breaking point, but the favoritism started long before that. Michael had our father's height, his sharp jaw, his confidence. From the time he could talk, Richard called him the heir. Not joking, actually said it at family dinners, at gatherings with friends, in Christmas cards. "This is Michael, my heir. He's going to run his own company someday." Michael believed it, grew into it, studied business at University of Oregon, joined Dad's country club at 23, spent every Sunday evening in the study talking about markets and opportunities and 5-year plans. I studied architecture. Portland State University, paid for with scholarships and part-time work at a coffee shop on campus. Got my degree in 2012, started working for a small firm in Southeast Portland, designing residential renovations and small commercial projects. Work I loved. Work that required creativity and precision and technical skill. Work my father called a hobby. The house had a formal dining room where we gathered every Sunday at 6. Dark wood table, seats 8, though usually just the 4 of us. Meals were the same: roasted chicken or salmon, vegetables, rice or potatoes. Conversations followed a script. Michael talked about business. Richard offered advice, made connections, wrote checks. Susan smiled and refilled water glasses. I sat at the far end, closest to the kitchen. Listened. Contributed when asked. Learned early that my accomplishments didn't fit the conversation. This had been normal for as long as I could remember. The favoritism was never secret, never apologized for. Richard believed in investing in winners. Michael was the winner. I was the spare. The pattern started small, then grew. And one day I realized I'd been watching it my entire life. September 2010. The dining room smelled like roasted chicken and my mother's homemade dinner rolls, the kind she only made for special occasions. Michael was 25, just graduated from U of O with his MBA. I was 22, starting my senior year of architecture school. Richard stood at the head of the table, wine glass raised. "I want to make a toast. Michael finished his MBA with honors. I'm proud of him. To celebrate, and to help him start his career right, I'm giving him a gift." The envelope appeared. Cream-colored, heavy stock. Michael opened it. His eyes went wide. "Dad, this is $50,000. Seed money for whatever you want to do next. Start a business, invest it, use it for networking. I know you'll make it count." Michael stood, hugged our father. Susan applauded softly. The pride in the room was thick, warm, congratulatory. Across the table, I set down my fork. 3 months earlier, I'd asked Richard for help with my tuition. Senior year costs. The scholarships covered most of it, but I needed another $4,000 for books, supplies, software licenses required for my architectural design courses. "You're capable of figuring it out," he'd said. "I'm not funding hobbies." 4,000 denied. 50,000 celebrated. The chicken tasted like dust after that. March 2013. The study at the house in Wilsonville, evening light coming through the windows that overlooked the garden. Michael was 28. I was 25, 2 years into my job at Sterling & Associates, a small architecture firm in Portland. I'd come to the house for Sunday dinner and found Michael and Richard in the study afterward, bent over documents spread across the mahogany desk. "Emily, come in." Richard waved me over. "Michael's starting his business, tech consulting. He's going to advise companies on digital transformation." The business plan was impressive. Professionally formatted, detailed projections, market analysis. Michael had done the work. "I'm investing $200,000 to get him started. Office space, staff, marketing, operating capital for the first year." 200,000. My hands went still at my sides. 6 months earlier, I'd shown Richard my portfolio. 3 years of residential projects, 2 small commercial renovations, a community center proposal that had won a local design award. Showed him because I'd wanted to start my own practice. Had a business plan. Needed $75,000 for office space, software, initial operating costs. "Architecture is a tough business, honey. Very competitive. Maybe work for someone else a few more years. Build up savings." No check, no investment, just advice to wait. Michael's business got 200,000. Mine got a pat on the head. Dinner that night was quiet. The study door closed again after I left. Male voices discussing strategy, opportunity, growth. The pattern was set. November 2015. Thanksgiving at the Wilsonville house. 19 people crowded around the extended dining table. Aunts, uncles, cousins, family friends. The house smelled like turkey and stuffing and the pumpkin pie Susan made from scratch every year. Michael announced his engagement to Jessica, a woman he'd been dating for 8 months. She was pretty, polite, worked in marketing, wore a diamond ring that caught the light. Congratulations went around the table, hugs, toasts, questions about wedding plans. Richard stood, raised his glass again. "Michael and Jessica, we're thrilled for you, and I want to do something special for your wedding. I'm covering all costs. Venue, catering, flowers, everything. We're going to make this a day you'll never forget." The wedding budget was $45,000. Richard paid for all of it. Waterfront venue, 200 guests, open bar, live band. It was beautiful. I'd gotten engaged that same year, to Daniel, an engineer I'd met through work. Quiet, kind, steady. We'd been together 3 years. Planned a small wedding for April 2016. Asked Richard if he'd contribute. Didn't expect 45,000. Would have been grateful for 10. "Your mother and I can give you 5,000. Use it wisely." 5,000. Michael got 45. At Michael's reception, dancing under string lights at a vineyard in Dundee, Richard gave a speech about legacy, about family, about Michael carrying on the Marshall name. Never mentioned me. Daniel and I had a small wedding at a friend's garden. 70 guests, potluck reception, beautiful in its simplicity. We paid for it ourselves. Richard and Susan came, smiled for photos, left early. The disparity was a canyon now, wide enough to fall into. June 2018. The Wilsonville house, Sunday dinner in the summer heat, windows open to let in the breeze that smelled like cut grass and roses from Susan's garden. Michael's consulting business had failed. 3 years of operations, clients who never quite materialized, contracts that fell through. He'd closed the office in March, laid off his 2 employees, filed for dissolution of the LLC. Richard didn't blame him. Called it market conditions. Said Michael had learned valuable lessons. The new plan was real estate development. Michael wanted to flip houses, buy distressed properties, renovate, sell for profit. "I've got a property lined up," Michael said over salmon and roasted vegetables. "Foreclosure in Beaverton. Needs work, but the bones are good. I can get it for 300,000, put in another 100 on renovations, sell for 600. That's a 200,000 profit on one flip." Richard nodded slowly. "What's your capital?" "I need the full 400 to make this work. Down payment, renovation costs, carrying costs during the project. The silence stretched. Susan refilled water glasses. I'll do it, Richard said. 400,000. But this time it's a loan. I want it paid back when you sell. A loan. Not a gift. But still, 400,000. Across the table, I cut my salmon into smaller and smaller pieces. Daniel and I were trying to buy a house. First home. Looking at starter places in the Portland suburbs. Modest 3 bedrooms in decent neighborhoods. We'd saved 30,000 for a down payment. Needed another 20 to make an offer we felt comfortable with, to have a cushion for closing costs and immediate repairs. Asked Richard for a loan. 20,000. Would pay it back with interest. You two have good jobs, save a little longer. No need to rush into home ownership. No loan, no help. Michael got 400,000. I got told to save longer. The salmon tasted like nothing. August 2020. The call came on a Wednesday evening. I was in my home office, the second bedroom of the house Daniel and I had finally bought in 2019 without family help, reviewing plans for a client's kitchen renovation. Richard's voice on the phone was buoyant, excited. Emily, I wanted you to hear this from me. I'm helping Michael with a major investment opportunity. He's putting together a development fund, commercial real estate, strip malls, office buildings, industrial properties. It's going to be his legacy project. Legacy. That word again. He needs capital to get started. I'm investing $1 million as the anchor investor. He'll raise more from other sources, but my $1 million gets the fund launched. The office went quiet. Outside, a neighbor was mowing their lawn. The sound seemed distant, unreal. $1 million? It's the right move. Michael's learned from his previous ventures. He's ready for this. And when it succeeds, it'll set him up for life. Set him up for life. With $1 million of Richard's money. That's a lot of money, Dad. It's an investment in my son's future. I believe in him. The call ended. The plans on my screen blurred. 12 years of watching. 50,000 for finishing his MBA. 200,000 for the failed consulting business. 400,000 for the real estate flip that had broken even after Michael made expensive mistakes and barely sold the renovated house for what he'd put into it. And now, $1 million for a new venture. Total, $1,650,000. My total? $5,000 for my wedding. That was it. Every other ask had been denied. Daniel found me sitting in the dark an hour later. What happened? My father just gave Michael $1 million. The words sounded absurd out loud. Daniel's face went through shock, anger, disbelief. After everything? After turning us down for 20,000? He believes in Michael's legacy. That night, lying awake at 2 a.m., the realization came clear and cold. This would never change. Richard would keep giving to Michael, keep denying me, keep calling Michael his heir and calling my work a hobby. The pattern had been set for 34 years. $1 million was just the latest, largest installment. I could keep showing up to Sunday dinners, keep smiling through the inequity, keep pretending it didn't hurt. Or I could stop. The next Sunday, the dining room smelled like pot roast and red wine. Candles on the table. Michael was there with Jessica, talking about his development fund, showing Richard glossy brochures he'd had printed. Halfway through dinner, Michael turned to me. So, Emily, I know Dad told you about the fund. I'm wondering if you and Daniel want to invest. Even a small amount, 10 or 20,000. It's a great opportunity. The pot roast sat heavy in my stomach. Invest in Michael's fund. With money Richard had refused to loan me 2 years earlier. We're not interested. Michael's eyebrows went up. It's a solid opportunity. Dad's anchor investor. I've got a business plan if you want to see it. I said we're not interested. Silence around the table. Richard set down his fork. Emily, your brother's offering you an opportunity. You could at least look at the materials. No. The word hung there. Short. Final. Susan's hand fluttered to her pearls. Jessica looked at her plate. Michael's face flushed. I don't understand why you're being like this. Standing up felt mechanical. Napkin folded on the table. Chair pushed back without sound. I need to go. Emily, sit down. Richard's voice carried that tone, the one that meant obey. I'm done. 3 steps to the door. Behind me, voices started. Richard saying something about respect, Susan trying to smooth it over, Michael sounding offended. The door closed on all of it. In the car, hands on the steering wheel, breathing carefully. The drive back to Portland took 25 minutes. Daniel was reading on the couch when I walked in. "How was dinner?" "I'm not going back." He looked up from his book. "What happened?" "Michael wanted us to invest in his fund, with money we don't have because your father wouldn't loan it to us. And Dad acted like I was being unreasonable for saying no." Daniel closed his book. "Okay, so what do we do?" "We stop going. Stop showing up. Stop participating in this." The decision was clear, clean. After 34 years, I was stepping out of the pattern. Done. That week, I sent an email to Richard and Susan. "I won't be attending Sunday dinners anymore. I need space from family gatherings. Please respect this boundary." Richard called. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail. "Emily, this is ridiculous. You're being childish. We're family. Call me back." Didn't call back, Susan texted. "Honey, please talk to us. Your father is hurt. Whatever this is about, we can work it out." Responded. "This is my decision. I need you to respect it." Michael sent a long email about how I was overreacting, how he was just trying to include me in an opportunity, how I was making things awkward for everyone. Deleted it. The months that followed were quiet, peaceful. Daniel and I had weekends to ourselves. No Sunday dinners, no watching Michael be praised while I was dismissed. No sitting at the far end of the table feeling invisible. Worked on my projects, took on new clients, started building a reputation for thoughtful, creative residential design. Lived my life without performing for an audience that didn't care. Richard tried a few more times. Calls, emails. One showed up at my office in January 2021. "Emily, this has gone on long enough. You need to come home. Be part of the family." "I am part of the family. I'm just not coming to dinners anymore. Your mother is upset. Your brother doesn't understand what he did wrong." "This isn't about one dinner, Dad. This is about 12 years of watching you give Michael everything while telling me to figure it out myself." His face went hard. "I've supported you. I paid for your wedding. You gave me $5,000. You gave Michael $45,000. Michael needed more. He had a bigger wedding. You gave him $1 million for his business fund. You told me no when I asked for $20,000. Richard's jaw tightened. "Michael is building something. An empire. A legacy. You have a nice little job, but he's creating wealth." There it was. The truth under everything. "I'm building a career I love. That should matter too." "It does matter, honey, but it's different. Michael is going to carry the Marshall name forward in business. That's important." The Marshall name, the legacy, the heir. "I'm a Marshall too, Dad," he sighed. "I know that. But you chose a different path. I'm investing in Michael because that's where the return will be." Return on investment. That's what children were to Richard. Michael was a good investment. I was not. "I see." Left his office that day with clarity. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was Richard's actual belief system. Michael mattered more. Always had. Always would. Stopped expecting it to change. For 2 years, the distance held. No Sunday dinners, no family gatherings. Richard and Susan came to our house once for Daniel's birthday. It was awkward, polite, brief. Heard about Michael through Susan's occasional texts. The development fund was doing well. He'd acquired 2 properties, had investors beyond Richard, was building something important. Didn't ask for details, didn't care. My architecture practice was growing. Small firm work had led to independent projects. By 2022, I was taking on my own clients, building a portfolio, getting referrals. Daniel and I were happy. Quiet life, good work, no drama. Then April 2023 happened. The first sign was a text from Susan. "Have you heard from Michael?" No, I hadn't. Hadn't spoken to Michael in over 2 years. Why? "He's not answering calls. Jessica says he's been gone for 3 days. Your father is worried." Gone for 3 days. Strange, but not alarming yet. 2 days later, another text. "Michael is missing. He left a note saying he needed time away. Jessica is frantic. Your father is beside himself. Please, if he contacts you, let us know. Missing. The word felt melodramatic. Adults don't go missing. They leave. But the third text, a week later, changed everything. The fund is gone. Michael's business account is empty. The investors are asking questions. Your father's attorney is involved. Please call. The fund is gone. $1 million of Richard's dollars, plus whatever other investors had put in. Gone. Michael had disappeared with it. Called Daniel at work. You're not going to believe this. When he got home, I showed him the texts. Holy shit. Michael took the money and ran. Your dad's $1 million? And probably more. If there were other investors, that's their money too. The next text came from Richard himself. Emily, I need to talk to you. Please call. Stared at the message for a long time. 2 years of silence. 2 years of peace. And now, when everything fell apart, he reached out. Didn't call. He called me. I let it ring. Voicemail. Emily, please. I know we've had our differences, but this is serious. Michael is gone. The fund money is missing. I need family right now. Call me back. Deleted it. 3 more calls over the next 2 days. Didn't answer. Then Susan called. Answered that one. Mom! Emily, thank God. Your father is in crisis. Michael's gone. The money is gone. The house might be at risk. We don't know what to do. What do you mean the house is at risk? Her voice broke. Your father mortgaged it to give Michael the $1 million. He didn't have liquid cash, so he took out a loan against the house. And now that money is gone and he can't make the payments. The Wilsonville house. 3 acres. The home they'd owned free and clear since 1994. Mortgaged to fund Michael's dream. He mortgaged the house? He believed in Michael. He wanted to help him succeed. Believed in Michael. Wanted his heir to have his empire. And now it was gone. Emily, he needs you. We need you. Can you come? No. Please. No, Mom, I'm not coming. Hung up. Daniel was watching from the kitchen doorway. They want your help. They want me to fix the mess they made believing in the golden child. Are you going to? No. The silence lasted another week. Then Richard showed up at my door. Saturday morning, October 14th, 2023, 7:30 a.m. Rain threatening, air cold, Mrs. Chen watering her roses next door. Richard looked broken. Hair unwashed, shirt wrinkled, face drawn. Please, Emily, you're all I have left. I need you. Mrs. Chen's watering can paused mid-pour. You should have called first. You weren't answering. That was intentional. He stepped closer. Your brother is gone. The money is gone. I'm losing the house. I don't know what to do. Hire a lawyer. File a police report. Work with the other investors to track him down. I have a lawyer. The police say there's no evidence of a crime. Michael had legal access to the fund accounts. It looks like he made bad investments and then panicked. We can't prove he intended to steal. Bad investments. Convenient story. What do you want from me, Dad? I need help. Financial help. Legal help. Advice. Anything. You need money. His face crumpled. The mortgage payments are $8,000 a month. I can't make them. My retirement savings are tied up in investments I can't access without penalties. The house will go into foreclosure if I can't catch up. $8,000 a month. The house he'd owned outright, now leveraged to the breaking point. How much are you behind? 3 months. 24,000. And I need to keep making payments going forward or they'll start proceedings. 24,000. The amount he'd refused to loan me in 2018. I see. Emily, I know I wasn't always fair. I know I gave Michael more. But please, he's gone and I need family now. You're my daughter. Help me. Mrs. Chen had given up pretending not to listen. Dad, I asked you for $20,000 in 2018 to help buy this house. You said no. This is different. This is my home. Your mother's home. 30 years of our lives. You mortgaged it to give Michael $1 million. After giving him $650,000 before that. You chose Michael over financial security, over your house, over everything. I believed in him. You believed in him more than you believed in me, for 34 years. His hands shook. I made mistakes, I see that now, but I'm begging you, help me save the house. No. The word was simple, final. No? No, I'm not giving you money. I'm not co-signing a loan. I'm not helping you fix the consequences of choices you made. Emily, please, you told me I was capable of figuring things out on my own. You told me to save longer. You told me Michael was building a legacy and I had a nice little job. You invested in him because that's where the return would be. Richard's face went pale. Those were your words, Dad. Your philosophy. Michael was the investment. I was the one who needed to figure it out. I was wrong. Yes, you were. But I'm not your backup plan. I'm not the child you come to when the favorite disappoints you. You're my daughter. Doesn't that mean anything? It means I'm not responsible for cleaning up your mess. Stepped back, hand on the door. Go home, Dad. Call your lawyer. Work with the bank. Sell the house if you have to. Downsize. Figure it out. Emily, don't do this. You did this. You chose Michael over stability, over fairness, over me. Now you live with that choice. Closed the door. Through the window, watched him stand there for a long moment, then walk to his car, drive away. Mrs. Chen caught my eye, nodded once, went back to her roses. The next week brought emails from Susan, long, emotional messages about family, about forgiveness, about how I was punishing them for Richard's mistakes. Your father is depressed. He barely eats. He's talking about selling the house, but the market is bad and we'll lose so much money. Please reconsider, we need help. Didn't respond. Richard's attorney called, professional, polite. Mr. Marshall asked me to reach out. He's exploring all options to save the family home. He wondered if you might be willing to discuss a loan arrangement with formal terms and interest. No, thank you. May I ask why? He's your father. That's exactly why. Hung up. Daniel asked if I felt guilty. Not even a little? Thought about it. Searched for guilt. Found none. He made his choices. He believed in Michael. Put everything into him. That's not my responsibility to fix. Even if they lose the house? Even then, through Susan's texts, which I read but rarely responded to, the situation unfolded. The bank started foreclosure proceedings. Richard couldn't make the payments. The other investors in Michael's fund hired a lawyer, started an investigation, found evidence that Michael had transferred money to offshore accounts 2 weeks before disappearing. Deliberately, methodically. Michael hadn't panicked. He'd planned it. Stolen from his own father, from investors who'd trusted him. Approximately $1,800,000 total. Vanished. Richard was devastated, not just financially, emotionally. The son he'd called his heir, his legacy, his investment, had betrayed him completely. Susan's text in November. Your father is broken. He can't believe Michael would do this. He keeps saying he doesn't understand. I don't know how to help him. Wanted to feel sympathy. Tried to find it. Couldn't. Richard had chosen to believe in Michael despite evidence. The failed consulting business, the mediocre real estate flip, the vague plans and confident promises. Had given him money again and again because Michael was the heir. And when that heir showed his true nature, Richard was surprised. Surprise seemed like willful blindness. December 2023. The house in Wilsonville sold at a loss. Foreclosure auction. Richard and Susan moved into a 2-bedroom apartment in Oregon City, 30 minutes away. Smaller, cheaper, a fraction of the space they'd had. Susan's text. We're moved in. It's hard. Your father doesn't talk much. He's aged 10 years in 6 months. Felt a flicker of something. Not guilt, maybe pity. But pity wasn't enough to change what I knew to be true. The other investors settled with Richard out of court. He paid back a portion of what they'd lost, money from the house sale. Still owed more, but didn't have it. They could have pursued further legal action, but decided it wasn't worth it. Richard was broke. Can't squeeze water from a stone. Michael was never found. Some investigator traced him to Mexico in May 2023, Then the trail went cold. Could be anywhere now. Living under a different name. Spending the money he'd stolen. Richard filed a police report. FBI got involved because of the interstate nature of the theft. But without Michael in custody, without being able to prove intent beyond reasonable doubt, nothing moved forward. The son was gone. The money was gone. The house was gone. Richard's legacy was dust. Christmas 2023. Susan called. Emily, I know you don't want to talk to us, but it's Christmas. Your father is alone. Michael is gone. You're all we have. Please come for Christmas dinner. No, just for an hour, please. Mom, I love you. But no, I can't sit at a table and pretend the last 12 years didn't happen. Your father knows he was wrong, he said it. Has he? Silence. He's struggling, Emily, this has destroyed him. I'm sorry he's struggling, but that doesn't change anything. What would it take? For you to forgive him? The question hung there. What would it take? An apology would be a start. A real one. Not, I made mistakes, but I was wrong to treat you differently. Wrong to invest everything in Michael. Wrong to dismiss your work and your needs. Wrong to mortgage our security for his dream. Wrong for 12 years of choices that told you that you didn't matter as much. It would take honesty, Mom. Real honesty about what he did and why. He can give you that, if you'd come talk to him. I'm not ready. Hung up. Daniel made Christmas dinner, just the two of us. Turkey breast, mashed potatoes, green beans. Quiet, peaceful, no performance, no hierarchy, no golden child taking up all the oxygen in the room. It was the best Christmas I'd had in years. January 2024. A letter arrived, handwritten. Richard's familiar script on cream-colored stationery. Dear Emily, I don't know if you'll read this. I hope you will. Your mother says you want honesty, so here it is. I was wrong. Not just wrong in the sense of making a mistake, but wrong in my fundamental beliefs about family, about success, about what mattered. I believed Michael was special. From the time he was born, I saw myself in him, wanted to give him everything I'd built, everything I'd learned, wanted to create a dynasty through him. I thought you were capable, independent, didn't need me the way Michael did. That was my justification for the difference in how I treated you. But the truth is, I favored him because he was a son, because he fit my image of what a legacy should look like, because he made me feel like I was building something that would outlast me. And I was wrong. You built your own success, your own career, your own life. You didn't need my money because you were actually capable. Michael needed it because he wasn't. And I couldn't see that because I didn't want to. He stole from me, from investors, from his own father. And I'm realizing now that I enabled that. Every time I bailed him out, every time I funded another venture, I taught him that consequences didn't matter, that someone would always save him. I destroyed my financial security for a son who betrayed me. And I lost my daughter in the process. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect you to help me. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. I understand what I did. I'm sorry. Dad. Read the letter 3 times. Felt something crack open. Not forgiveness, not yet, but recognition. He saw it, finally. February 2024. Called Richard. Emily? His voice sounded older, tired. I got your letter. I meant every word. I believe you. Silence on the line. I'm not ready to have a relationship yet. I'm not ready for Sunday dinners or family gatherings. I understand. But I wanted you to know that I read it, and that it mattered. Heard him breathe out. Thank you. How are you doing, financially? We're managing. Susan went back to work, part-time at a bookstore. I'm doing some consulting, software stuff. It's not much, but we're paying rent, buying groceries. Downsizing has been hard, but we're okay. Susan working. Richard consulting. The people who'd lived on investment returns and early retirement now working in their 60s. That's good. Emily, can I ask something? Okay. Do you think you'll ever forgive me? The question was heavy. Real. I don't know. Maybe, but it'll take time. I have time. Don't expect me to fix your problems, or to loan you money, or to step into the role Michael left. I won't, I promise. Okay? Can I call you sometimes, just to talk? Thought about it. Once a month, no more. I'll take it. Hung up. Daniel raised his eyebrows. You called him. He wrote a letter, a real apology. And? And I'm not ready to forgive him, but I'm willing to talk. That's a start. It was. March 2024. Richard called on the 1st of the month, talked for 20 minutes. About his consulting work, about Susan's job, about the apartment, about missing the garden. Didn't mention Michael. Didn't ask for money. Just talked. April 1st, he called again. Told a story about a software project he was working on. Asked about my architecture work. Listened when I answered. May 1st, same pattern. Slowly, carefully, a different relationship started to form. Not father and daughter the way it had been. Not the hierarchy of the Sunday dinners. Something quieter, more honest. Susan sent a text in June. Thank you for talking to your father. It's helping him heal. June 1st, the call came. Emily, I have news. The FBI found Michael. Heart stopped. Where? Costa Rica, living under a fake name. They're working on extradition. It might take months, but they found him. How much of the money is left? We don't know yet. Maybe half, maybe less. He's been living well. Living well on stolen money while Richard lived in a 2-bedroom apartment. Are you going to pursue charges? Yes, the FBI is handling it. The other investors are cooperating. He'll face consequences. Consequences. Finally. How do you feel? Richard was quiet for a long moment. Sad, angry, betrayed, but also relieved. Not knowing where he was, whether he was alive, whether he'd ever face justice, that was eating me alive. Now I know. Yeah. Emily, I want you to know something. Even if they recover money, even if I get some of it back, I'm not giving it to him again. I'm not bailing him out of prison. I'm not funding his defense. I'm done. Good. I enabled him for too long, taught him the wrong lessons. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm proud of you for that. Heard him catch his breath. You are? Yeah, it's the right choice. Thank you. September 2024. Michael was extradited, arraigned on wire fraud charges. The trial was set for early 2025. Richard and Susan attended the arraignment, came back shaken. Richard called that night. He looked right at me in the courtroom, didn't apologize, didn't show remorse, just stared. I'm sorry. He's not the son I thought I had. Maybe he never was. Maybe. I built this image of him, this legacy, and it was all in my head. He was just a kid who learned that money would always be there, that Daddy would always save him. And I did that. You did, but you're facing it now. I wish I'd seen it sooner, before I lost everything. Me too. October brought the monthly call. Richard sounded lighter. Susan and I are going to counseling, working through things. The money, the house, the betrayal, all of it. That's good. We're learning to live smaller, simpler. It's not what I imagined for retirement, but it's honest. No more pretending, no more image. Honesty is better. I'm learning that. November, Thanksgiving. Susan texted. We're having a small Thanksgiving, just us. If you and Daniel wanted to come, we'd love to have you. No pressure. Showed Daniel the text. What do you think? He asked. I think, maybe. You sure? No, but I think I want to try. We went. The apartment in Oregon City was small but clean. No formal dining room, just a table in the kitchen that seated 4. Turkey breast, simple sides, store-bought pie. Richard and Susan didn't perform, didn't pretend, just cooked and ate and talked. Richard asked about my work, listened to the answer, asked follow-up questions, seemed genuinely interested. Susan asked Daniel about his engineering projects, engaged with his responses. No hierarchy, no golden child taking up space, just 4 people, eating dinner, being honest. Left at 8. Hugged Susan, shook Richard's hand. Thank you for coming, he said quietly. Thanks for the invitation. In the car, Daniel squeezed my hand. How was that? Strange, sad, but also okay. You okay? Yeah, I think so. I'm sitting in my home office now, March 2025. Michael's trial ended last week. Guilty on all counts, sentenced to 8 years in federal prison. Restitution ordered, though most of the money is gone. Richard attended every day of the trial, came home exhausted, called me once after the sentencing. It's over. How do you feel? Empty. He's my son. I should feel something. But mostly I just feel empty. That makes sense. I lost him a long time ago, before he stole the money. I lost him when I taught him that money was more important than character. You can't carry all that blame, Dad. Maybe not all, but some. We talk once a month still, sometimes more. He and Susan came to our house for dinner in January, brought wine, admired the renovations Daniel and I had done to the kitchen. Richard looked at my drafting table in the office. Can I see what you're working on? Showed him the plans for a client's home addition, explained the design challenges, the solutions, the creative elements. He listened, really listened. This is beautiful work, Emily, really impressive. Thank you. I should have said that years ago. Should have seen what you were building. Yeah, you should have. I'm saying it now. I know. We're not where we were. We'll never be. The Sunday dinners at the Wilsonville house, the formal hierarchy, the golden child dynamics, all of that is gone. Broken. Dead. But something new is forming. Smaller, quieter, more honest. I lost the father I wanted. The one who would have seen me, valued me, invested in me the way he invested in Michael. That father never existed. Took me 34 years to accept that. But I gained something too. I gained the knowledge that I didn't need his validation. Built a career without his money. Bought a house without his help. Created a life without his approval. I gained boundaries. The ability to say no. The strength to walk away from what hurt me and not look back. I gained a relationship with Richard that's real, not performed. We talk because we want to, not because Sunday dinner is scheduled. We're honest because the performance is over. I gained peace. The kind that comes from knowing I don't owe my father my pain. Don't owe him my bank account. Don't owe him forgiveness on his timeline. I gained the understanding that family isn't obligation. It's choice. And I get to choose who I let in, how close they get, what I'm willing to give. Michael is in prison. Richard is in a small apartment, working consulting gigs at 67. Susan is working retail. The Wilsonville house belongs to someone else now. The legacy Richard tried to build through his son is gone. All that money, all that investment, all that belief, wasted on someone who took it and ran. But I'm still here, still working, still building. My work matters. My life matters. With or without Richard's recognition. And now, finally, he's starting to see that. I don't know if I'll ever fully forgive him. Don't know if the hurt from 12 years of being dismissed will ever completely fade. But I know this. I'm not responsible for fixing his mistakes. Not required to save him from consequences. Not obligated to be the child he comes to when the favorite fails. I'm just Emily, architect, wife, daughter on my own terms. And that's enough. The phone rings. It's the first of the month. Richard's call. I answer. Hi, Dad. Hi, Emily. How are you? And we talk. If this story resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you're new here, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for listening to my story. I'll see you in the next one.